One of the funniest things about being a multi-discipline, multi-hyphenate creator is that every time you do something new, you have to sell everybody on it again. I feel like there was a period of time where making music was the only thing I did, and then I decided I wanted to start a clothing brand, and then I had to sell everybody on starting a clothing brand. And then once I did that for a little bit, I decided I wanted to start shooting my own lookbooks, so then I got into photography, and then I had to sell everybody on that again. And then I started shooting music videos, and I had to sell everybody on that again. I was running a blog, and I had to convince people that the stuff I was making was worth reading, and I had to sell everybody on that. And I started, DJing, and I had to sell everybody on that. And then I started producing, and I had to sell everybody on that. And then I started rapping, and I had to sell everybody on that. And then I got into crypto and NFTs, and I had to sell everybody on that. And it's really kind of funny that as a creator, you never really reach a point where you don't have to try to sell everybody on the thing you're doing each time. In my mind, an artist, a creator, does this thing where I'm like, oh, whatever they make, I think I'm gonna like it. But we only really reserve that for like people of a certain status, like a Pharrell or like a Kanye or something, and Travis Scott, Virgil was one, Tinker Hatfield maybe, John Geiger. There's a lot of people, but it's really interesting that even if we understand someone's voice, we won't always agree with the work that they're putting out if it comes across in a different media. I've seen lots of examples where someone who is good at one thing isn't necessarily good at another thing that they try to do. But I feel like we knew that before they got into the second thing. And I think there are lots of ways where people's voice can be seen or heard before the thing even exists. I'm thinking a lot about how Megan Thee Stallion's working on an anime, and I'm not personally a fan of Meg's visual style, so I'm not sure I'll like the anime that she makes. But understanding that Lil Uzi Vert, who is also into anime, I like his visual style, and so there's a chance I may like the anime. Or, The Weeknd or something, who I guess we tried with him with a TV show, and we saw how that went. I just wonder if individual voice is as easy to see as it is for other people who make things. Maybe because we're creators and we have an understanding and a use of voice, we think about that when people are making things. And I wonder if the quote-unquote average consumer doesn't see it, and they can't see how someone might work across mediums. I actually talk about this a lot with one of my friends who plays his music for people before it's finished, and they can't get past the fact that it sounds unfinished. And I was explaining to him that you can't play music that's unfinished for people who only know how to listen to finished music. Maybe this is that. Maybe all of my complaints are because I make things, and I'm expecting people who don't make things to think like someone who does. I wonder if that's a major unlock. We'll see next week.